Dixie has always been the mantra of agriculture. I remember back in the 70s when I first started farming, you know, you were supposed to get big or get out. CSU said you had to have at least 500 head of cows in order to support an economic unit. And my brother and I were ranching together on our place, and it had been, we have what I call a 3D ranch. Disagreement, death, and divorce. My grandfather put together, and it's been divided several times. And I just realized lately I'm having trouble doing my own estate, because every time somebody settled an estate, we all wound up in court. Like my brothers and sisters, and my aunts and uncles, and you know, I lived through all that, just like a lot of you have, I'm sure. But, you know, just because we have technology, learn to do these things, and we think that efficiency is the answer, we're not thinking these through. We're thinking about what we can do right now in the moment. And right now you can save water. So the more water we save, the more we run through our crops. And when we haul the crop away, we don't give anything back to the aquifer. We don't give anything back to the soil. Because the economic demands on me as a farmer or rancher means that I need to take that crop and turn it into money. And I have to haul away. I have to put it on that train and send it away to get paid. And so there's the aquifer has no right. The soil has no right. We have all kinds of laws that say we as people have rights. That we have the undisputed right to water to its extinction. And we are well on the way to doing that in the San Luis Valley. Now we've stopped that and we're turning that around. We're working on ways we have to become sustainable. We are not going to use our aquifer to extinction. But as farms get larger and larger, people have to take care of more and more acres. Any one acre or any one little detail sort of gets lost in the shuffle. And you just, because you have so much to do, and you have, you know, there's a lot to do with somebody's farming 3,000 or 4,000 acres. They haven't got time to worry about a lot of details. So anymore, everything is farm, fence road, there's no pheasant habitat, there's no wildlife habitat, everything is all done as if agriculture had the right to everything that's out there. And when we do that, we change our community, we change our soils, and we use up all the water, and we have a place nobody really wants to live anymore. And so this dirt starts to blow, and the sand starts to move. It's not sustainable. And I think we're learning that. Yes. So, long about 2000, the drought kind of started by 2003. We had the worst drought we've had in 700 years in the San Luis Valley. That's a piece of grazing land that I have. It's fenced into 13 different pastures. It's one of those old wagon things that we all started with back in the 80s. And it's all right, but the grazing and the grazing management's not what happened there. What happened right next door to that, there's an alfalfa farm, 28 circles, all in one block, just across the road from there. And when they put those circles in and started transporting all that water through those alfalfa crops, they lowered the water table on this piece of land that has a historic water level of about from 12 at the lowest up to about 4 feet. And that's kind of the way that cycle. It's the old alluvium of Swatch Creek on the Warner Arroyo. And so for millions of years, those plants lived with that water cycle in somewhere in the end. Well, once they started pumping and putting those sprinklers in, and they evapotranspirated all the water out there through the aquifer. And right now, the aquifer underneath that ground is down there somewhere about 30 feet. And all the native plants are completely dead. The brush, the grass, everything that's been there all this time is gone. And I have no recourse because I can't hold water users hostage to an aquifer. That's why we can draw aquifers down and do it all over the United States. The local law, anywhere that people have rights to water, they can demand start paying for some of the water that they're using that they didn't really have the right to, and all those kind of things. But we are working on it. You know, this is where we wound up. We went to return to our laws, our engineers, and we're still fighting. But what we need to do is learn to look at this situation a little bit more holistically and less just with strict legal applications or strict engineering, because it's way more complicated than that. It's a very great thing, and I don't like fighting over it. There's 3,370 sprinklers in the San Luis Valley. And it's pretty serious business to turn a train around that's going that fast and with that much momentum. And in order to restore that aquifer in the San Luis Valley, we what we call subdistrict number 1, which is kind of where the really concentrated area, enclosed basin area where all those pits are, is we've got to cut back at least 40,000 acres of irrigated ag land in that area in order to get that, bring that aquifer into balance. And that is if we have average snowfall. We haven't had average snowfall since 2003. This year, we thought that we were going to do better, but over time, there's less and less snowpack to work with. We've got this huge economy developed on a resource that may not be there. So we're trying to figure out how to make that transition from that into something that's really sustainable. This is a graph of that aquifer, and that's the aquifer storage in 100,000 acre feet increments. You can see that graph starts on the left in about 1973, I think, when the district started monitoring that aquifer. And you can see that it goes up and down a little bit with the winters, and that real high peak, that was in the 80s, and you know, we had a lot of water, and there's a record everywhere, I think, in the West. It's almost an exact replication if you've seen the hydrologic data from the stream flow of the Colorado River, or the Rio Grande River, you know, it all follows that until you get to 2003. And we didn't get any inflow, we damn sure didn't stop pumping. And in 1 year, we took that aquifer down 1.5 million acre feet. And we have never been able to recover. That is our charge. We have the Supreme Court has determined that we will bring that aquifer back to the range that's between 1978 and 2000. And so that's our charge. That means that we've got to shut down a lot of irrigated acres. And how we do that is kind of a complicated thing, and not my talk for today. But anyway, one of the things we have to do is we have to admit that actually the climate probably is changing. Whether we're causing it or not is not the point. Because if we politicize that and try to blame somebody, it doesn't matter. Let's just do the right thing. If it's not climate change, what's the harm? You know, if we can make our farms more resilient and better, let's just do that and not worry about who's fault it is. I do not want to get into politics, because it just doesn't make any sense. That's a way to hide any problem. Next. We have a history of that. That's an old house. It's not too far from where I grew up. It's an old abandoned building, and that inside that building, the wainscot and the cupboards, and whoever built that house built it with pride, and they thought they were going to last. That house was built about 1900 to 1910, and it's been abandoned since the 50s. And that was the first drought in the 50s, and those people left, and it's just stood there. That's a windy day in San Luis Valley in 2012. That dust plume looks like a nuclear bomb went off. It's going right over the top of the sand dunes. That's the San Crystal Range, that long strip with snow on top. That's going all the way to Kansas. That's our wealth. That's our topsoil. That's coming off of cave ground primarily. It was left bare in the spring and then flattened down flat with the land plane in the fall. And that's the results. We thought we were mixed like this. I was on the ground ultrasounding cattle down there. We raised a lot of cattle on grass, with the sheep, the cattle, and here we are, right back. I don't see it. So, with all that sad news and all that complaining, you know, at the end of the day, what are we going to do next? Well, one of the things we can do is we can actually decide, like I've said a couple times already, not to get mad and get to work and figure out what is the problem, what do so we headed out the first day, and we got there, and so the next, Tuesday days on, the lions and coyotes got in and killed some lambs, and so Jasper marked on a stick there a particular way to his losses. And we went all the way up here, up one, I don't know, I don't remember exactly where, maybe Horseshoe Park or somewhere, and about 2 in the morning, we heard the band struck us, the dogs struck us out, and they got up, and there was another band of sheep that had come in, and they were mixing with our herd. So we had our sheep with another band of sheep, no else. Turned out there was a young herder from Mexico who was missing the 3 fingers off his hand. He had just this one big long finger and thumb. And he was maybe 20 years old. He'd never been out there before. He was lost, didn't know where to go, and those sheep hurt ours, and so we got all mixed. And so we spent a day or so dragging up deadfall, and we made a set of corrals and an alleyway, and we sorted those sheep, and me and the dogs, and that kid and his dogs kept those herds separate, and we got it sorted, and everything was fine. But and he moved on, and we found out who he belonged to. And back then, it was in the 60s. You didn't see very many people up there in the mountains. There wasn't anybody out there. You know, it was not like now where there were people hiking and all that stuff. You didn't see anybody all summer. And but one day, this guy come right into camp, and turned out to be the owner of that other bunch of sheep. And he was very angry that because he didn't have all the sheep, and he wanted to know if we had them. And he was trying to actually accuse Jasper, I think, of stealing those sheep. And he wanted to know if Jasper could prove how many sheep we were supposed to have. Well, he pulled that stick out of his pocket. And all of a sudden, that stick is the value of that herd. Something that simple turned into a document that nobody could really dispute. Next. So, without a story about technology and how simple things can be, this is our hand operation. And I have a basic operation that finances all of my experiments. I think everybody has a base operation in a place that makes money pretty much no matter what they do. They learn to do some things right, and it works well. And so this is an economic deal that if I just go back to that, I'd be way better off. I'm off trying to finish cattle and learn how to run cows on farms and all that stuff. But it's complicated, but this is the basis of the place. And I'll tell you a little bit about how we put up hay or we don't put up hay. Actually, recycle part. There's my hay crew. That's my dad. He's 94 now, and unfortunately, he's not able to ride a tractor anymore. He can't see good enough, and we have way too much electric fence for that combination. But he's actually in a place called Bridge Knolls. He's doing well. He's doing fast as any days. So we call it starting. I don't know if you guys remember the old New Holland, one old Holland 78 baler that said hay in a day. You can bale in the morning and you can stack right and have your hay put up, hay in a day machine. I remember that. Well, I got along the age to the point I could afford a new baler. And so I just decided that I was going to put up hay and not put up hay. I live in the San Luis Valley. You all probably know what that's like. Everybody has to put up hay here, right? Well, I have not baled hay since 1985. Next. So that's the first pass. We take the windmower, that old 10-foot pivot on the windmower, and that tractor, and we cut these grassy meadows. Okay. And that's a 1949 VAC case tractor with a sharp end pump on the PTO shaft and what they call an automatic dump brake. It's like a sulfur brake or a four-strong brake with teeth. And we pull those windrows up into plows and dump it. And we're done haying. That's haying day. We ready to hay the same day that we cut it because we want it to be green when we pull it up. We want those plots to thatch. And I don't leave the hay in the windrow because the wind, we get a hold of those windrows It's a little video of a friend and I feeding cows. Maybe it's supposed to do like it's not there. Well, there you go. You can see it. What it is, it's a video of a friend waiting for. How do you feed that hay? How do you keep the cows from running all that? Those piles getting in there, you know how they don't think ahead. I don't know if you read. Cow doesn't think, they live in the moment. If they get a haystack, they will stray. They're not thinking about saving that hay up there. And that's the thing about piles like this. You have to have the technology of electric fence in order to control the access to that on any given day. And so, what we do is, depending on how hard the ground is frozen, but we stretch a wire across the fence, and you can't be a German engineer here. You don't want a straight fence. You want a perfect fence to go so you've got slack out there in that fence, and you can pick those posts up, pull it up like that, and carry it over and put your posts down and expose those piles. And you just move your way across the field, moving those posts just like you were shaking a rope. You know, if you grab the rope on the end and shake it, this is like a really slow motion of that. You just do that back and forth across the field, and you slow those piles, and you move your reel on the end, and you get it started in the corner and come back. And so there is no machinery involved whatsoever in feeding these cows. And they just are supposed to. This pile takes a little while to learn how much to give them, and when you put it in the brush, you know, that's the whole thing. But you have to remember that I don't want anybody to go home and try to do this tomorrow. You've got to train your cows, you've got to train yourself, and you've got to get prepared. And these cattle have been, and you've got to have the right kind of cows. They've got to be not, you know, they've got to be used to their environment. So our cow herds, we've done this for 30 years, and they all know from the time they're cattle. That's how they're going to get fed. And it works when we put these cattle back on the farmer's field, and that's all controlled grazing is what it is. Sorry that didn't work. So that's what we do after we feed. You can sort of see the cows, see the wire there, and the cow weight hanging. We don't have very many advantages in San Luis Valley, but one of the advantages we have is this really dry river. And so you don't need to put any shade. And so it'll keep, even under the snow, it'll keep out there just fine. And I know we get kind of carried away with the quality of hay, and we've got to have everything covered, we've got to be green, and it's got to be perfect. Well, sometimes it rains, there's some perfect hay put up, but there's a hell of a lot of hay that gets rained on, and a whole lot of hay that's not perfect. But you've got all that expense in it anyway. This way, all I'm really looking at is it enough? What are the cows thinking? Are the cows getting enough? Are the cows staying in condition? That's all I really need to know. I don't need to know whether or not I'm in the 4-H contest with my hay. That's not the point. Next. So, everybody wants to know what you're going to do when it snows, George. What if it snows 4 feet and the wind's blowing? Well, I'm going to do the same thing as that, but I'm going to stay in the house. But the feed is out there. One of the things that I've learned is a tool called animal density. And when that herd, when you've got 200 or 300 head-on cows all working together, they can move a lot of snow. And if they know how, and they know that feed's under there, and you've got a situation set up so that you've got snow that's deep on top of that feed, and they know it's in there, they will just root that snow right out of the way and push it to the side to get that hay. But if you turn them loose and let them walk around out there and set stock, let them have access to that, they'll freeze that snow down. You know how the certain snow freezes solid? They'll freeze that snow down and they can't get out and lock themselves out of their own feed. That's why people grazing cattle in the wintertime feel like they have to feed, they have to have protein supplement and all the things they need to do is because the animals go through and choice it all out, and they move the snow and they freeze themselves out, and they can't get it. But if you give them tight and make it work. That is an uncut meadow down on the river, and that day it's about 15 below zero, right down on the Big Bend River, the coldest place you can be. And those cows will just put their heads down and they just graze right through that snow. They're used to it. And it's not a very good picture of them. You can see the next one. Show you their condition. Everybody thinks we're going to start discussing that, but they're in adequate condition. I like to see a body score of somewhere around 5 in my cows, something like that, even down to 4 by the end of the winter. And I don't mind recycling and losing a little bit of weight through the winter and then gaining it back, because I can get it back on the green grass cheap. And that's the way animals have done for millions of years. They use that fat to get through the winter. And then we calve in April, at the earliest, April and May. And so we're not calving in January and February, trying to calve in those kind of conditions, because you just can't do that. But the nutrition cycle of the grass has to match the nutrition requirement of the cow. And so we try to make it nature that way. And I'm actually thinking about moving that maybe from May to kind of be a little better problem, but it's pretty close. So one of the things that I've kind of gotten into in the last few years, after the drought and my own ranch dried up and we didn't have grass anymore, and rather than getting mad at my neighbors down south and were running their sprinklers and had feed, I just went down there, because that's what the cow would do. I mean, she doesn't know anything about private property. She'd go where it's green, so that's what we did. We just loaded one truck and took them down, and we started working with farmers. And we started in the winter, raising this assorted sedan grass on a circle, and those are cows and calves. When I have that kind of feed source, I don't necessarily wean my calves at 7 months. I just leave them, because I'm going to market them anyway. I run them all the way through. So we just leave the calves on the cows until we get, depending on what time of year we get ready to wean. And then what we'll do is we'll get the cows and calves on a circle somewhere, and the calves are really established there. And it's nothing but a hot wire on the outside, no infrastructure whatsoever. I have set portable corrals that me and those girls can be set up in a few minutes, and we can put 300 head cows in and sort the calves off, put the cows on the truck and haul them off, take them home to the ranch, to the hay piles, and the calves will just stand there, because that's the last place they sell them. And they're used to that feed. They're already started on it, and they just go right home. Weaning is not a problem. That's one of the ways we do that. Next. There's other ways. This is coming over Cerro Summit there at Soda Place, I think. I don't know who owns that ranch, but that guy's doing a beautiful job of spreading these nutrients back out on the snow. I saw that the other day when I was coming over here and checking my cattle, and I wanted to take a picture of that, because he is recycling those nutrients back where they came from as best he can. I think mine was better, but that's great. Next. So what's the value of 8,000 pounds of manure and 8,000 pounds of manure per acre for a farmer? And that's one of the things that we're working on. And I'm hopeful that during this soil health conference we'll get into the science of what actually happens in the soil when we feed it this way. And there's a lot more going on than nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in the soil. We've been focused on that for so many years that we're not thinking about what's really going on. It's not. There's more going on in the chemical process. Next. So this is my feed outfit. That's everything you need to get through the winter without hay. That little red tool like a slide hammer, it's got a 50-penny spike put in the end. And I can make a hole frozen ground in that and move my fence over, because in the San Luis Valley it does freeze a little. But I can tell you, if anyone wants to do a scientific experiment on how the ground freezes and when it thaws, I can tell you, because I'm out there poking around about 100 times every day, seeing where the frost is at. Next. That's everything I need. That's my whole rig. And there's 2 dogs in that. I wanted to get a picture of my 2 border collies in that, because they're the enforcement agency. If the cows get over the wire, then the dog will put them right back. And so it's a team effort. But those are our old instead of costing money for a lot of inputs, I pay for the gain on these cabins, so that fertilization process and a lot of tillage becomes the income source rather than a cost. So you're gaining two ways. You can kind of double your dollars. Next. Oh, yes, that is right. Yeah. So the benefits to the rancher is it's reduced forage costs, increased rate of gain, higher yield, reliable forage sources, and that results in a more sustainable and profitable ranch. So now we're starting to work on a community level. We're not no longer just ranchers and farmers. So we're learning to feed the soil as well, and we're using that herd density that I talked about to move snow. That's also a nice tillage tool. If you can get a few thousand, 100,000 pounds of beef per acre trembling on that soil and incorporating that. See, we're not grazing everything down in the nub, and we're trying to return a lot of those plants into the soil and adding dung and urine at the same time, so we're getting that decay process started faster. I want to see those cattle trump a lot of that in. I don't want to eat everything that's out there right now in the stem, because we're feeding the soil too. I don't have a right to take everything through the cow. We need to feed the soil. I want to come back next year. Next. So there's tremendous value in incorporation, and you know, we're all learning about this. I don't know all the answers, and I certainly don't know the economics of the individual farmer and how tillage fits in their whole program. And that's one of the places where we're struggling right now is to incorporate grazing and figure out the rotation on the farms so that it actually fits grazing. Grazing becomes an enterprise. It's not just kind of in the way, but it's part of the enterprise. It's part of the way the farm makes money. And so we're going to incorporate these things way more fully than they used to be. And they're not going to be just kind of you get to graze what's left over. It's going to be a fully integrated part of the farm. And certainly the farmers are going to share it. Next. So this is soil being built. You see those hair roots on a turnip? Now the cow ate the top off the turnip, but I pulled that turnip up and took a picture of that. That's mycorrhizal community on those hair roots. That's living soil. That's organic. In this country, you've got microbial activity going on all the time, and that is actually soil being built. When you see that, and a turnip generally doesn't have a lot of stuff on it. It's pretty slick. So if you can see that on a turnip, which is one big cavity with that, you know what's going on with a grass plant or something that's actually got a way more complex root system than a turnip. And that turnip is in connection and with the mycorrhizal community and fungi and bacteria in that soil. It's seeking out those nutrients and it's building soil in the process. Part of what Michael was talking about with farming. Next. So that's just what I just said. That hair root is in connection with that natural bacteria and the mycorrhizal fungi. And it's able to use the nutrients that are available in the soil. The air that we're breathing is not just oxygen. We die from just oxygen. It's 78% nitrogen. Nitrogen is everywhere in the system. How does the plant cycle that and create nitrogen? Well, it does it with nitrogen-fixing bacteria who are all part of that relationship of mycorrhizal fungi and plant roots and all of that together. And I'm no expert about that. I'll let these guys talk about it. But it's a beautiful, beautiful system. And they can fix nitrogen without being fed nitrogen. And they do it all the time in the range. And nobody's putting nitrogen on the range. And it takes nitrogen to make a green plant. So there's nitrogen fixing going on out there. Next. So we're adding that ruminant to that soil, and we're adding resiliency economically as well as ecologically. This is making money. Eco is a Greek root of the word for house. So economy is the money of the house, or the finances of the house, and ecology is the ecological, the biological part of the house. But they're the same house. is kind of the money side of it. I took the cattle that are produced in the San Luis Valley on any given year, and before the drought, we were producing about 20,000 head of 500 calves, and we sold. And that was the cattle economy. It sounded called cow market and whatever else. That's pretty much it. Nobody runs yearlings over there. It's too cold. Hay costs way too much. You can't really do that. So we sold those calves, and that's about that's in 2014 dollars. So that's about $30 million. And we sold it somewhere else. But if we sold those as yearlings, we'd add that much value to them. The value of finishing those animals, the value to the farmer to pay him to finish those animals, is another $12 million that's in that economy. The value of the process all those animals, we have processing plants and we can build and have the labor for our people to work cutting up our meat. That's $11 million a year invested right there just from those 20,000 calves. And if they're sold as 1,150-pound finished animals in the grass-fed market, $53.3 million. And if you sell them retail, it's $69.3 million. We can add $145.6 million to our economy. We're shipping off the raw product somewhere else. Somebody else is making all that money somewhere else. There's no reason we can't do that in our valley and in this valley with grass-fed meat. It's all, we have all the ingredients, we just haven't, and we are doing it. There's over 4,000 head of cattle on feed grass-fed animals in the San Luis Valley right now. Yes. So, building community, I've talked about that a lot. Farmers, ranchers, processors, retailers, consumers. Everybody is a part of this. And one of the things that we've learned by going to farmers market, consumers is a big part of this. They are educated. They're getting more and more educated all the time. They're asking more and more questions about where the food comes from. They want to support the local farm. But I keep telling them, they can't shop their way out of this. They've got to get involved in way more than that. You can't just drive your Subaru down to Walmart or down to Whole Foods and buy some kombucha and get the wheels. We've all got to be a part of it. And we can't hear this what we want to hear in disregard for this. So we have to look at technology and law and economics, but we also have to look at our feet within ourselves for the longer term answers. So that's